All right, and here we are, the most anticipated town hall that we always have every year with some amazing brothers, which is the last day of Black History Month on a leap year. And this is our Brothers Y'all All Right series. And we want to thank all of you for being here. And we want to thank all of our wonderful men who are here that is going to, shed light on masculinity and mental health and also just have that open conversation. So I want to be able to jump right into it because I told the guys that we will try to stay within an hour. But I do have to say to anyone, which I didn't say last time through the Sisters Y'all All Right, if anything that we say is triggering or very emotional for you to, please get the support that you need. We're only here to help you work and process through your feelings. At the end of this, if you want to communicate with any of our guests, we will give them that time to allow them to say how you can reach out to them. But guys, we are so happy that you're here. And brothers, y'all all right?
Absolutely.
Yes, yes. Very good. Thank you.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick introduction, if that's okay. You can definitely chime in with more of what you do, but we have the dynamic duo here, the Kingdom Brothers. We have Mr. Gerald Thompson and we have Mr. David Noble, who we honored at our event last year, which was such an amazing place. They have this healing community. They are called the Kingdom Brothers on Instagram. They do their wake and rise. And people, if you have not heard these brothers speak about mental health and healing, I suggest that you tune in. We have Mr. Leon Walker, who is killing the game on TikTok and Instagram when it comes to mental health and narcissism and the whole thing of letting ladies know why men do what they do when it comes to narcissism. And he's a writer and he has been just putting out some free game for everyone. And then we have Mr. J, who is a PhD person, very smart in anthropology, and he's from UC Riverside. That's where you got your doctorate in anthropology. Is that correct?
That is correct. That's where I went to graduate
And
school.
and he's been focusing on the healing arts, and he has extensive experience in healing and guidance and growth. So guys, I thank you guys for actually being here, and I'm going to jump right in. Is that okay?
Yes.
Please. Thank you.
All right, so one of the things that we got from some of the Black men who submitted some information to us is this, and I want to be able to get you guys' opinion. One of the questions that we ask is, as a Black man, how do you see yourself? And some of the comments that we got was, as a Black man, just being a Black man, it just hardens me. It's a feeling that you have to have a tough exterior. Another Black man said, being a Black man, and especially in America, it feels foreign. It feels like I don't even belong here. And then another Black man said, I'm tired of being strong, but not intimidating. When you hear words like that, and I want to be able to um, start with you, David. When you see yourself, how do you see yourself as a Black man?
Wow. I see myself as a black, male actually on his pursuit to manhood. I think that a lot of times, especially in our community, we think that once we get over a certain age and once we start getting into activities with women and things of that nature, that it automatically thrusts us into manhood. And it doesn't. Like manhood is earned. Um,
Mm.
it's an ongoing exercise, and it's a rites of passage, if you will. So for me, I'm still on my pursuit, Sister Gloria, and to the brothers who have written those statements, I can definitely attest to some of those feelings. Just being a black male in America, even amongst my own community, um, I haven't always felt the most protected. I haven't always felt the most um, guarded to be able to share truth, share my transparency, be vulnerable, because there's been these false ideologies and what manhood should look like, what it is, and what masculinity is. So I can definitely attest to those. But I'm in the healing stage, for me. But as of right now, I see myself as a king. I see myself as a king that's still on his pursuit. And as my brother G and I always state, to 99, we won't fully be 100% until it's over with for us.
How about you, Leon?
I see myself as a trendsetter now, because for 35 years I was very toxic. For 35 years I lied, I cheated, I gaslit, I ghosted, I put women down. I was a major problem in the Black community, if you will, when we talk about how we don't treat our women right. And this is not just about Black women. For me, it's about all women, because I was promiscuous, but we have Black men here. So I was one of the major problems in the Black community when it came to mistreating women. I didn't know how to treat women outside of sex. Didn't know how to communicate, didn't know how to hold hands or cuddle, none of that. I was just like straight up about their body. So I was a very disrespectful, rude man, and that was not even a man, a little boy that was all over the place. Until I started realize therapy is what helped me out. I didn't go into therapy until 46. Black men, we see therapy as taboo, as a weakness. I wasn't allowed to cry my entire life, right? It was either, man up, smoke a cigar, do some push-ups, boy, you better quit crying, go find your girlfriend, look at her butt, look at her breast, and if it was like, if I cried, I got punched. If I asked questions, I was a simp. If I was nice, I was too soft, and so all those things, I just got tired of it. Then what happens is I start going into my childhood traits of recovering from being abused, molested, and neglected, and then I become a narcissist. Years later, of course, but I could have chose a path of being an empath, a nice person, a better person, but I chose a path of redemption and being vindictive and not being vulnerable. So now through therapy, I see myself as vulnerable, transparent, very helpful. It was hard. It's hard for me to make these videos. At 59 years old, I still have some fears about being, soft or vulnerable. I still fear that. But what I found out was that I was fearful of me. I was fearful of Leon, because the women that hurt me wasn't many that hurt me. If they did hurt me, it's because they were just protecting themselves. And so I was projecting all of my hurt, my anger, my fear onto all these women and what my mother had done to me. I gave my father all the credit, but in therapy, I found out that my dad didn't deserve all the credit. My mother was a hell of a lady. I was a Cub Scout because of my mother. I learned how to swim because of my mother. I played football, basketball, baseball because of my mother. So I see myself now as somebody that's not afraid to talk and give women credit and to help other men get to where I am.
Jonathan?
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing, Leon. Yeah, I mean, I obviously don't have an insider perspective on what it is to be a Black man in America. But what I do know is that, for instance, Black men get heart attacks at twice the rate of white men. Why is that? People think that it's race, but the fact is that race doesn't actually exist. So they look for a genetic something that's in Black men that's not in white men, but there's no such thing. What happens to Black men that doesn't happen to white men is racism. And epigenetically, a Black man's body receives the message from his environment that he's living in a stressful, dangerous world. And his body responds accordingly. So, people tend to have, when any of us, I have hypervigilance from my own trauma in my own life, excuse me here, and that caused me to be very much like Leon when I was younger. I'm like very angry, very dismissive, and keeping everyone out, and including my female partners, right, including the women in my life. And in the like, what it produces, an organism that it produces a heart, for instance, that has had to work twice as hard as everybody else's, or as the norm, and therefore is twice as likely to have a problem because of it, right? And so yeah, so I can give you the PhD perspective, but I can't give you an insider perspective.
Gerald?
I consider myself highly capable, emboldened, empowered, able. I consider myself very lucky as a Black man because I have circles, I have spaces where I have Brother Dave, Brother Leon, and even you, Jay, Sister Gloria. I consider myself one of the lucky ones who have spaces where I can walk into, lay myself out on the table, on the bed, wherever, and just release. And I understand, we all understand where these men are talking about, because we live it on a daily basis. But I consider myself one of the fortunate ones. I'm blessed beyond measure because I have my ancestors, I have the universe who's watching over me. And so for any brother who is going through the notion that they're not enough, I would tell them, I would ask them to go seek out spaces where you can release, whether it's your brother, your sister, whoever it is, so that you can lay all those problems, those issues down, and we can have some fortunate situations in our lives.
Yes.
So what I want to do is I want to go to the mental health part. A lot of guys submitted some statements or questions around that, and I just want to see if we can have a conversation around that. One guy said, it feels like you're a juggler. You have to juggle so many different things about yourself as well as the world and still show yourself as a good Black man. And what I found was, according to the Suicide Prevention Resource Center, the suicide rate for Black men is 4 times that of Black women, and reported suicide by Black teens, high schoolers, is 12%, and it peaked over 9%, which is above the national average. So we have these young Black men who are looking at themselves, and one of them said, it's not the fact that I felt like I wanted to leave this world, but I felt pressure, hopelessness. When I looked at society, it counted me out for so many things. Can you describe a time, and we can start with you, Leon, when you knew that you had these feelings of not being good enough, and how did you handle those things?
Most of the times, the feelings I felt of not being good enough were around Black men, my brothers. Yeah, I did 32 years in the Navy. I was called the N-word one time, and I tried to decapitate that dude. But 32 years, I was called and yeah, I did. I still have anger issues, but now I know it's funny, but I'm able to maintain and control them now. But I was called the N-word one time by a white dude in the Navy, and I could have went to jail for murder. However, the only time I had issues with people were Black people, my brothers. The only time, right? And I'm gonna say something else. Do you hear about white fraternities? You don't.
No.
You can't. Can nobody here? And I'm not poking fun at anybody. You can't. We can't name a white fraternity, but you will always see the alphas, the kappas, and the Qs. But that's separatism. Separatism, if I'm saying it right. But we are separated by Greek letters. We don't even Greek. We're not Greek. We're Black. I may be going on a tangent here, but I'm just looking at how we are sitting in different directions. Another thing, when I felt like I was being attacked or not being, welcomed by my brothers, is when I started doing my videos 32 months ago. A Black woman, my ex-girlfriend, has me doing these videos. I would have never done videos about my narcissism ever, right? But I knew it was destroying people, it was destroying women, it was destroying coworkers. I said, okay, let me try it. And the last 32 months, I've amassed over 450, I call people listeners, not followers. 450,000 followers, maybe 480,000 followers, right? Out of those 480,000 followers in 32 months, 99.9% or 99.8% of my listeners are women, right? Out of those 32 months, I met Gerald and I met David. Out of those 32 months, 480,000 listeners, 9 men have reached out to me. Out of those 9 men, 1 was white, but he was cool. He's still cool. Out of those 9 men, all of them are under the age of 40. Okay. Black men don't listen to me. Black men don't like what I post. And I'm not poking fun. I've lost most of my black male friends. I've been on for 45 years in the last 32 months since I've been talking about my narcissism and the way I mistreated women and apologizing now. I lost more friends talking about it.
And I think that is because, you know, you're actually putting yourself out there on Front Street and exposing some things. So a lot of people, especially in the Black community, we don't like to air our dirty laundry like that because we have to be able to have this space. We have this thing in society where we have to be twice as good and we have to, you know, have this image. So when you are faced with that adversity, it's really because you putting it all out there. But women love you, even though you talk about it, because that's how I found you. You know, I remember the video that you did. It was in black and white, and you were talking about your narcissism of how to spot a narcissist. And that got me going where I was like, I have to meet this man. But let me get to Gerald. Gerald, when we talk about mental health and we're describing um, about the time when you knew that you needed help, can you at least take us to that day and what it was like?
Yeah, I would have to agree with Brother Leon. Unfortunate, we are being taught every single day that we are our possessions, that the stuff that we have on our backs, the shoes that we're wearing, the necklace around our necks, that those are the things that are most important. The money that we got in the bank, those are the things that are most important. The moment I knew that I had to seek out assistance with my mental health was after a conversation with my sister about relationships. And I was pouring into her, she was pouring into me about her relationship, and I was doing the same. And I told her, we can't do this anymore. We can't do this anymore. We're basically trauma bonding, talking about the same things over and over. We're not getting anywhere. And so we made a pact to go seek help. And for those who've heard the story, you know, I sent out all these emails and contacts to reach therapists, and only one person got back to me. And she's been my therapist for 3 years. And so those, again, I consider myself fortunate because one thing I learned when I was younger is the difference between right and wrong and how to see the world, to take a step back and see what, you know, how A affects B, how B affects C. And so I was able to say, okay, I'm feeling like this for a certain reason. I need to go seek it out. And being fortunate to be able to be in the moment and see that something is not right with me, I'm blessed every day. I'm blessed every day.
David, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. It was back in 2015 when I had that, you know, epiphany. My wife and I, we had been together. We weren't married yet. We got married in 2016, but we had been together for up until that point, it was 9 years. My daughter was 6. And we just we weren't yoked at all. And it was things that I wanted her to fix in me, but she didn't have the capacity to do it, and it wasn't fair. I was tearing my family apart just with my anger, my bitterness, my frustration. And we had the conversation. I remember like it was yesterday. She said, listen, Dave, if you don't get your anger under control, everything that we have now, we're not gonna have this no longer. And I'm looking at my daughter and I'm like, yeah, she's not gonna be 6 forever. One day she's gonna be, you know, a grown woman learning and trying to navigate life and how to see herself through a lens of how her father treated her mom. And I wasn't doing well. I was losing in that area, Sister Gloria. Honestly, I was losing. So in 2015, I Googled psychologists in the area. I found one who accepted my insurance, and I had started my healing, my therapeutic journey then, which I probably needed it prior, but that was the turning point. I did not want to lose my family. I saw that I was going into a direction of no return. I wasn't in the success category, if you will, of the relationship and the fatherhood. And I knew hadn't I not started my therapeutic journey, I don't know where I would be. So in 2015, I started, and I've been in therapy on and off ever since. So it was family for me. It was me seeing the fact that I was going to um, tear my family apart if I don't get rooted and learn how to effectively, emote, if you will.
Right.
Mm.
And Jonathan, I want you to answer the question, but I also want you to lead with another question. So the question is, you know, uh, why why do you think it is so hard for just men in general to just realize that they need the help or just go get the help, right? But I
Yeah.
want you to answer first. What was it for you that made you uh, seek out help?
Thanks a lot for the question, Gloria. It's really great questions you're asking. And for me, I have a history of trauma. There was, my younger brother died of a drug overdose. Um, there was sexual abuse in my family. There was addiction in my family. Thank you. I got a bleeder here. I'm trying to manage it. Yeah. So my journey was, very fraught with when my brother died of an overdose. I didn't know how to cope. I was a man. We're not supposed to cry. We're not supposed to, feel sadness, guilt, shame, all of the things that I was going through. And I just dealt with it by getting high for years. And I got married. I even got a PhD. And then one day, my ex-wife showed me a video of what it looked like when I was angry. And I will never forget that video. I wanted to take that phone out of her hands and erase that video. I couldn't imagine that man was me. The harshness in his eyes and the hardness of his heart. So I really identify with everybody's story here. And that's what started to get me out of it. I got sober, and I started to heal. I eventually started to, I was told when I've had a spiritual life for a long time, and I was told when I was young that I needed to be a healer. But when it went to dealing with other people, I would just get triggered, and I had to heal my own psychological issues before I could help other people. It took me a long time to do that because, again, there's this stigma with all men to not get, we're not supposed to get help. We're supposed to be the best. We're supposed to compete. We're supposed to look good, which is why I'm bleeding on camera right now, right? Because like, I want to look good in front of everybody. But so what has helped me is, healing my trauma, holding space for all of who I am, for all of, even the parts that I don't like, I don't want to show other people. And what, in the end, because my brother died of an overdose, what has served me the best, what has healed me the most is brotherhood.
Mm,
Is like the support of other men of my emotions, of the things that I go through, because women are experts at dealing with emotions compared to men. And we turn to women because we don't know how to We don't know how to deal with our emotions. And then that strains our relationship, our romantic relationships, or our familial relationships, our work relationships. And so I really strongly feel, and I'm really glad to be talking about brotherhood. I really feel like it is an important answer to mental health issues in all of our communities, right? When men talk to other men and support other men, then we go out and we support the people in our family, we support our communities, and we change society from the bottom up.
So I have another comment that came in from one of the guys. He said, being a Black man in America, you really don't know who you are and what you are. And even if you wanted to, how to reveal that is so hard. So having this concept of being this strong Black man, but a good man, being walking this tightrope and being feared based on what society says, and also trying to be this family man, is it something that is considered to be a burden, or is it something that really pushes you to be a better person? Because as Black women, sometimes we get confused where we're like, we know that you're out there working hard, doing what you need to do, right? And you saving face to keep your job out there. And then when you come home, in our case, you unleash this beast that we try to tame. And you say you have to understand what I'm going through out there. And we say we understand, but the same way that you save face out there and do what you need to do, give me some of that respect and love at the same time, because I'm the one that is here for you and trying to be as vulnerable and supportive and loving. So when you hear this man say that uh, he's not sure who he is when he's out there, he's not sure who he is with this strong Black man concept. Gerald, I'll start with you. What what is your opinion when you hear that?
Well, honestly, we've been taught hundreds of years ago to bring home the bacon and let the woman cook the bacon. Right? As long as you bring it home the bacon, as long as you bring home that money, that's all we need. And so we give the bacon. All right, thank you, husband, thank you, brother, thank you for bringing that home. But when I need to unleash and give you the rest of me, no, that's too much. And so we have
Correct.
to hold on. We've had to hold on to that for so long. And now you see brothers and go back to the 60s and the 70s where men are beating their wives and, I'm giving you this money, but there's something still inside of me. There's something inside of me that I need to unleash. And they're unleashing it the wrong way. And men start to end up in prison and, it starts to break up homes. And so it starts a cycle that is created where we are today. And so we were taught to just keep giving, giving, giving. Giving monetarily, giving to create the household and make sure that the family has money, which is what men are, entitled to do. But when we want to release everything else, folks are not ready for that. They're not ready to hear everything else that's going. Just give me the bacon. I'm gonna cook the bacon. We're gonna have a meal. All right, we're gonna do the same thing tomorrow, and so on and so forth. And so we've been left with the crumbs, and those crumbs have become bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's become what we have today, where men they just need a release, and they're doing it the wrong way. And so that's why we have brothers here that can help with that on a daily basis.
What do you say to that, Leon?
I agree with everything that Jill says. I was the type of dude that would release. I needed to release, and so what I do, I became promiscuous. So I'm gonna release on all these women, right?
Yeah.
I always wanted to be a boxer, so I learned how to box and play football, and then join the Navy and be a firefighter. I never wanted to be a loving father or a loving husband ever. I didn't know what it was like. My dad provided and he protected. He worked at Ford. He brought the check home, gave it to my mother. We had great food. We had bacon. Like Gerald says, my mother took care of all of the events, the parties, the graduations, the shopping. My dad was provider protector, and he started drinking a lot. So guess what I did when I got old enough to be a father? I was a provider and a protector, and I started drinking a lot, and I started smoking a lot, and started cheating a lot. I never saw my dad cheat, but I took on all the traits of the men in my family. There was nobody going to therapy. There was nobody talking about, hey, go hug that little girl. Hey, man, you need to learn how to hold hands. Hey, man, let's learn how to play chess. Nah, I was like, boy, you drink a shot of gin, go there, go there with the girls and, smoke a cigar and be tough. Nah, puff your chest out. I wasn't taught about love, none of that. At all. I was learned, hey, you gotta learn how to box, you need to learn how to fight, right? I knew how to yell, I could curse real good. I got all those things from my dad. And yeah, serious. I know it sounds funny, but it's serious. And then I started treating my sons that way. Now I'm dealing with my sons right now that I have a strained relationship with my son because there was no love. My ex-wife gave my sons the love. My ex-wife gave my sons the communication and the talks. I was gone. I was in the Navy. I was deployed. What I found out was that I was dealing with severe PTSD for 27 years before they treated me. So I was dealing with these mental issues besides narcissism, mental issues, and didn't even know what was wrong with me. I didn't take a pill. I didn't have therapy. I didn't get a shot. I didn't read any books for 27 straight years, not knowing that I had severe PTSD. So all I was doing was going through life, responding, reacting, but not in the right way. I didn't have love. I didn't know love. I was afraid of love. And so I became a bully in a sense. I became a hard man on the outside, and that's all I saw. That's all I wanted. That's the only thing that made me feel good was being dysfunctional. I was dysfunctional, and that was my norm.
Smiling because, even at the same time, even when we look at society, all of our music and all of our things that we love to do was surrounded around that, where you had back in the day the Temptations say, "Oh, I love you, girl," and the R&B music of love and this and that, but it was just like the total opposite where, we had that part, but that was only for a certain aspect of our lives. And then we move on to this thing of I still got to go out here and do what I need to do for my family and take all of the stuff that I need to take. And when I come home, I have to be myself. And one of the things that Nikki Giovanni said when she was being interviewed by James Baldwin was, I don't want you to come home and be yourself. Because when you be yourself, you beat me. And when you be yourself, you are mean and you unleash yourself
Lie to
on
me.
me. Yeah, lie to me. That's exactly what she
That was
said. She
gold.
said,
Yeah.
lie to me. She
Yeah.
said, lie to me like you lie to that man every day when you at work because you give him your best and you come home and you give me everything else.
You have her voice
Because,
too.
yeah, that's right. So you can't be vulnerable with me, but you can go and take the whooping from him.
Yeah.
How do we make that work, David? Where now, in this stage, we not only have mental health, we have this division of Black love, and we're trying to figure out how we how we bring this all together, especially when it's a family dynamic. How do you how do we pull it together?
I think one of the challenges, Sister Gloria, is, and I know, this is very, very important in the conversation. We heard the save face, right? So I can go out
Yeah.
there and I can save face with the job and then come home, but I can't save face with my kids. I can't save face with my wife, so on and so forth. But I think that ideology of us saving face with the family, we should erase that. We should have an authentic face and an authentic voice. I shouldn't have to put up a facade, even though I have to put up a facade because society has has force fed me this ideology of what masculinity looks like, what mental health, mental wellness looks like. Now I get home and I have to save face. No, no, no. It should be authentic. It should be holistic. But we have to go in these spaces of our own individual souls. And I know Brother G and I, we always speak on this. We're looking to give the responsibility to everyone and everything else. And it really starts with building you up first and really subtracting those parts that are not going to create longevity in spirit, that's not going to create community, and really take a deep, hard look and go, okay, how can I improve? I need to clean my plate, right?
And David, I would say as a woman, how can I have that conversation with you enough that I can get you to be vulnerable to do that? Because as a woman, I I want to be here. I want to be your champion. I want to be able to, see how we can move our family forward, but I need your vulnerability. And your vulnerability comes with a whole tornado storm of everything you have to deal with. And I can take it because on our side, we are taught to be strong and know and hold and do the birthday parties, the food, the this, the that, right? But how do I get you to be vulnerable enough to even have that conversation so I can support you so that you can be authentic?
Mm. I have to want it, Sister Gloria. I think all of our brothers here can attest that no one force fed us into therapy. I think that life just got to the point where, all of our backs were up against the wall. We didn't see the spaces that we needed. There were no space, no community, and we just wanted to be better. So I know, our sisters want us to lead, and you all want us to be vulnerable. However, we need to do the work. We need to take full responsibility and full accountability before we can even allow you in. Right? It's
Mm,
like my wife said, okay, you need to go to therapy. Now she wanted my vulnerability before that statement. However, I didn't.
Right.
I didn't want my own vulnerability. I didn't want to be transparent. So once I got to the point where the fire was just hot enough, I'm looking at my daughter and understand that I may tear her life up. I'm looking at my wife and going, okay, yeah, this is not going to work if I don't do what I need to do and make the necessary steps. So it's really just on us, first and foremost. We need to do this more. We need to get extremely uncomfortable because, listen, we are the foundation in our community,
absolutely.
not just Black men,
Yes.
just male in
Men
general.
in general.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Jonathan, what are your thoughts?
I really deeply appreciate what my brother David said. I couldn't agree with him more. And it's the thing that we don't want, the thing that's really difficult for us is the vulnerability, because we're not taught how to deal with our emotions. So now we're in a world that we don't know, and it's scary, right? I know it seems like men shouldn't be scared because they're the big tough, like they're the ones that can take the damage, right? But at the same time, because we haven't been educated in this way, we're lost. And I was strong. And again, when David says we need to look at it for ourselves, right? We can teach each other how to do that. Those of us who've now done some of this work, excuse me, and can turn to the brother next to us and say, "Hey, I know what you're going through, and this might help." Right? Come talk to us. Come have a discussion like this in your community, in your Zoom room, however you do what you do. But like, we can teach each other how to emotionally process, and then we can be vulnerable. We can be by being vulnerable with each other. We can then go home and be vulnerable with our wives, with our children, with our families.
One of the things that I hear over and over again is, especially with men, and I've said this before, is men say, well, if I be vulnerable with you, then you might use it against me,
Mm,
right? When when we have an argument or something like that, and Leon, I want you to answer this if you can. When when you when vulnerability comes up, does it even come up where you at least think about it and say, you know what? I can be vulnerable with this person. At least I can open myself up to them to at least say one thing. Why is it the whole stigma of, you might use it against me, you might do this to me, you might hurt me, you might do this, so I'm gonna keep it bottled up. And why is it so common?
So here's the thing. It's the words that you use, it's your delivery, and it's my ability or inability to listen, right? For instance, I say, hey, Gloria, I'm just gonna use this word, baby. Hey, baby, you got a minute? I got mommy issues. You may go, mommy issues, okay?
Yes.
Now here, the second phone call. Gloria, what's happening, girl? How you doing, baby? I got, you got a minute? I got some issues with my mother. There's a difference. It's the same thing. There's a
Okay,
difference in
what's
how I
going
say it.
on? Yep.
Right? And so if you say, Leon, let's talk about being vulnerable. Then you go, oh, I know what you're thinking, because I'm like this rah overt narcissist guy, like rah. And so you go, well, Leon, let's talk about vulnerability for a minute. If your delivery is soft, I'm going to open up more. Like David said, I have to want it. So even if I don't want it with the way that I am, I'm a very over the top, overbearing dude. If you come to me softly, if your delivery is different, like mommy issues as opposed to having issues with my mother, it's the wording that you use I try my best to be fair. If you come at me softly, like making me feel like I'm still in control of the situation, even though you might be, I'm gonna feel like I can talk to her, but she's not gonna take anything from me. It's your delivery. And then I have to hear your words. Okay, for instance, the way you treat me is a shame. How could you hurt me so bad? Aretha Franklin's song, right?
Yeah.
Chain of Fools. We listen to those words and we dance to them. Chain, chain, chain. But she's talking about a chain of fools, women that are fools. And then in the record says, the way you treat me is the same. How could you hurt me so bad? But she said, you're the best man that I've ever had. Those words that you hear, and I've been listening to those songs since the 70s, and I was still dancing to them, not knowing that she was being abused and beat up, right? And neglected, and she had trauma. So the words that you say and your delivery is what will get me to be open and vulnerable and want to say, sit down and have a one-on-one with you, like David said. But if you come at me incorrectly, I'm gonna use an excuse not to be vulnerable, or you're gonna use that again. That's all it is. So it depends on how the woman is, her delivery. And I tell women this all the time. You can ask me something one time or twice, and the difference is how you ask me. That's going to determine how I become vulnerable to you.
Gotcha. Okay. Gerald, you shaking your head.
I mean, these brothers are on it. These brothers are on it. These brothers are on it.
My next question is about love, though.
Okay.
If I can, can I get you guys' definition on love and what it means to love, what it means to love to you? And when you found out you were in love with a person or your child or anything like that, did that give you a sense of vulnerability, or was it just something you knew you had to step up and do because it was another thing? Does that question make sense? Like, was the love purely there where you wanted to, or was it just another thing that you had to handle because you felt like you had to? So the first question is, what is love to you? And the second one is, with that love, is it a responsibility where it's a burden, or is it something that you can enjoy? Anybody can go.
I would say love is freedom. Love is freedom. When you are entranced, when you are engulfed in it, when you're sitting, you're being yourself at the best possibly that you could possibly be. Love is freeing. It's an ability to what we talked about earlier, is about releasing. And in the moments where I really feel truly loved is when I'm able to release, and going back to what you said before, and not have to worry that you're going to take my release as ammunition to use against me. Men are very vigilant and very observant. And I will say this: we put you telling our business on the same level as cheating for women, right?
Oh.
You tell our business. You want to lose a man? Tell our business one time.
Or call them a name.
Yeah, you call him a name. You tell our business or call
It's
him a
not
name
true.
one time. You will have a hollow man walking around that household.
Yeah.
Because
Wow.
we see things in possessions, right? And Brother Leon can attest to this. Men are bred to have possess, right? This is my woman. These are my things, right? This is my house, right?
Yeah.
This is my business,
Uh,
right? And so if I give you something, I release my vulnerability onto you. I'm releasing my possession. That is
Got
something.
it.
My business is my possession, and if I give it to you, and you don't bring that suitcase back, or you open that suitcase when you get a little tipsy, or you with your girlfriends or whatever, and I get a wind of it, or you lost that man.
lost.
You lost that man, and he possibly will never forget. And I say that because I have been that man. I have been that man where my business ended up somewhere where it shouldn't have, and I look at that person and I say, where did it come from?
Mhm.
And then from that point on, I'm not saying it's impossible to get them back, but it's going to be it's going to be difficult. And so, going back to the other question is that love is freeing. And so when I can tell you my business, I can give you all of me, and not have to worry about it's going to end up somewhere it shouldn't. Or we gonna be good. We gonna be good.
David?
That was amazing to all of my brothers who really we're hitting the nail on the head this evening, and definitely appreciate this panel, Sister Gloria, once again for creating space, right? And setting the stage once again. But love to me is just unconditional, right? It's to be able to not put something on it, not attach a thing to love. Like you just be able to possess a certain emotion within yourself first. Because I think we try so hard to love things and people and everything outside of us first, because that's what we're taught. But when that self-love isn't there, it can be extremely toxic and counterproductive to now I have to learn how to give you something that I'm not giving myself, nor do I know how to do it. So for me, it's unconditional, like really just allowing myself to be in a space of vulnerability and transparency and opening up, not worrying about guilt or shame, but understanding that I have to step in the gap for a lot of different things, people, places, and things, and add value and add the gifts that the Creator has given me. So I can't put a condition on it, right? I can't put a condition on. Like I tell brothers that I just meet, I love them, because I know our brothers are not hearing it often, and I can see it. To answer your second question, in terms of the responsibility, I became a father at 24. So when I helped pull my daughter out of the womb, I can't say that immediately I was just so in love. And obviously, yes, I loved my daughter. However, it was the responsibility part, the protector, the provider part kicked in first. I'm young. I mean, I'm a new young father. So my mind is what I saw my dad do, what I've seen some of the other males in my life do. Okay, I'm gonna make sure that I make the right decision because now I have somebody, it's an extension of me. As she
Right.
started to grow and she started to gain personality and she started to see who I really what I am to her and what I mean to, then the love part started to, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I can let my guard down. Especially now. I mean, she's going to be 15. So the relationship is completely different. And she sees me in a different light. You know, when your child is first born, they don't know themselves, nor do they know who you are yet. But when they start to grow, now that love activates. Now I have to activate in a different way. So,
Jonathan?
Wow, that's a beautiful, beautiful answer. Thank you, David. So Bell Hooks says that love is looking out for the spiritual benefit of the other person. I really love what David said about love being unconditional, right? And true love, real love, is unconditional. It's free, and it's it's the realest thing that exists. And the best I can do, the best we can do, in my humble opinion, is to embody that as much as possible. To just give it to people because we got it. We can just give it. So there's a lot of definitions of love that oppress, that push people down, that hurt women. I hate you because I love you. Like, that's something that people say, right? But real love is freeing, right? It is liberation. And it's looking out for each other, really looking out for each other, right? And that's hard. That's hard. It's fierce, right? It's not just not just a warm feeling in my heart. It is that, but it's also like, I see where you're going, and I'm worried about how that's going to turn out. Can we talk about this? It's a lot of things, right? But fierce and freeing and unconditional, ideally, but we're all human.
Leon, I'm interested in hearing.
So like what Gerald said, love is freeing. I was never free, right? And I used to tell women I love them because they said it to me, but I didn't. I'm telling you, I did not feel absolutely. I didn't feel zero, and I was like, "What the hell is wrong with me?" I didn't have any answers until I was 46 years old, and so my therapist, right, like my fifth or sixth therapist, was like, "Well, Leon, is there anything that you like about her?" Right? And I was like, "Yeah." He said, "Well, start with things that you like." So going back to my grandfather, who's, let's say he died at 80. My dad died at 66. That's 146 years. And say at the time I was 30, right? 176 years of not hearing "I love you" from a man. My father never told me he loved me. And so going back to what Gerald said, I said, okay, then I'm gonna provide and protect. That's my way of showing love. That's all I knew. So we got groceries, the utilities are paid, I got school clothes, we're going on trips, right? But then at the same time, I was punishing my sons like my dad punished me. It was physical, but it was also mental. And so when it came down to me with love, I didn't know what love was. As a 20-year-old man, as a 30-year-old man, as a 40-year-old man, as a 45-year-old man, I had no clue of how to process love. And when I said it, even up to age 46, I didn't feel anything. I just was just repeating, and then that turned into anger. Well, man, you just said it like it didn't mean anything. I'm thinking to myself, it does mean anything to me. I didn't want to tell her that because I don't want to hurt her and make her possibly leave me. So I didn't know what love was as a grown man that was not therapeutic, right? I didn't get therapy until 46. And so I started facing why I wasn't a loving dude, why I was protecting and providing, and that was it. It stopped. So in my mind, you thankful to be with me. That was my arrogant thinking. We don't have to worry about love. You got Leon. Be thankful that I'm better than your husband, your ex-husband, your ex-boy. Yeah. And so I'm like, we have no room for love here. And if you ask me again, I'm gonna shut down. Okay, Leon, I'm sorry. So yeah, love with me was like absent. And I learned in therapy, like, well, let's start with this. I was like, all right, let's try. A little bitty 4'11", 120-pound white lady got me to start talking about love. But before that, it wasn't happening.
And how about now? Can you actually say that you're open to it and you are able to be vulnerable to allow love?
Yeah, I'm not afraid anymore. To be honest, Gloria, I found out that I was afraid of Leon.
Wow.
Everything that I was saying to those women is because I thought they were going to do what I was going to do to them anyway. And they would look at
Oh,
me like, what the hell is wrong with you? Where'd that come from? I'm like, you going so I was like, that was my excuse to get away from love. But now it's like, I'm not scared of me anymore. I was afraid of me. That's all it was.
wow. Now that's deep because I listened to all of you guys, and you guys have logical thinking across the board. Where women, we talk about love. We're like, oh, we're gonna hold you, we're gonna support you, do all these things, right? Because that's who we are, and we're going to give you everything we have, and we are going to work as much as you do because we're a team and we're this, right? We put so much emotion into making sure that you are good, and we want you to be good because we want you to see that we are a good woman. And like I tell women all the time, it really doesn't matter what kind of guy it is. At the end of the day, we're always kind of looking for your approval, right? That's why we get our body done. That's why we dress a certain way. That's why we do different things because at the end of the day, we want you to like us and eventually love us and choose us,
Mm,
right? To be your woman because it's something about what you said, Gerald, of it's mine that we love. Like, wow, if I'm his, then I'm gonna be his. But I don't want toxic him, right? But I would love to, be with him, right? So it's just eye opening just to hear what you guys' definitions were. I have one more statement from a guy, and then I'm gonna just let you guys kind of wrap this up with this statement, and then we'll let you guys tell everybody how we could get in contact with you. One guy said, being a black man in America, we're like a high volatile manager on a tightrope with no net. It's like we're running 100-yard dash at the start line where the rest of the world is at a 90-yard lead.
mm.
So my last question to you guys is when you think of what society thinks of you, um, one of the ladies that I saw on a YouTube said that black men, even though they get high achievements, they still are viewed as a threat or harm to society. Um, when you're out there in the world, do you feel like you always have to be aware of your surroundings, aware of how people are looking at you, aware of where you are and how you need to act? For us women, we talked about code switching. What is it for you guys? Anybody?
I see it as, and this is very arrogant of me, so that I don't connect with any type of fear, right? Because when I was living the way that I was living, I didn't have fear or I didn't fear consequences. Now I have to see it as if people want to be like me. It's very narcissistic of me, right? But I had to figure out a positive thing to say. And it wasn't, to me, I wasn't trying to be arrogant, but I don't want to connect with fear or doubt or like everybody's against me type of thing. Because the reason why I joined the Navy, because it was predominantly white. And I wanted to be in an establishment to see if I can thrive in an all-white establishment. When I found out was that it wasn't that hard. And so I hear a lot of people saying, the white man this, the white man this, the white man this. I never said that because I put myself in a position to succeed. And when I started succeeding against certain odds, I found out that it really wasn't really that tough. It wasn't that hard. I just wasn't applying myself. So now I see myself as not this guy that's like people are after me and it's so volatile. I understand those things do exist, but I don't feel that way. Like I said, at 32 years in a predominantly white establishment, I was called the N-word one time, and that was in 1985. Never again. Regardless of what they were thinking about me, I don't care, right? But I had to put myself in a position to succeed by any means necessary. And the more I succeeded, the more successful I became, the stronger I became. When I realized that people couldn't stop me and slow me down, no matter the color or race, it didn't matter. It was all about what I saw within myself and how I felt about it. So that's the way I see it.
Okay, Gerald.
That's not arrogant at all, brother. That's I don't see that as any type of arrogance whatsoever. You know, depending where you are, you know, it's a lot of times it comes down to survival.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people are scared of black men because they know what black men have been through, and they know it won't take much for us to reverse this whole situation. And so people sometimes can walk on eggshells around us because we can go back hundreds upon hundreds of years, which is already in our DNA. That's already in our system. And we have saved that generation after generation after generation. And so folks are nervous about what could come of, oh, he might not like me, or you know, I heard about this, I heard about that. They could probably do this, they could probably do that, because they know exactly where we came from. They know exactly what was done to us. They know what is being done to us now. And so that nervousness carries on and on and on, because it's like a powder keg, right? And so they don't know when we could possibly burst. And so we've had to do things in order to create survival in our communities. We've had to, you know, take the hood off when we come in certain environments. We're walking down a dark street. The neighborhood I live in, it's predominantly white. You know, it's predominantly white. And so I could be dressed to the nines. I could look like Leon, Brother Dave, Brother John. I could look like y'all on a daily basis. But once they see this dark skin and this beard, I could have these glasses on. When they see these things, I get cross the street.
Mm-hmm.
Cross the street. Let me put my windows up.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And we just walk past it. And so we take that on for the next day. And we just keep going. We just keep going. But they know what they're doing. And so they're nervous that possibly one day that they could react.
Yeah.
And they're thinking that day could be the moment when they react.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
David, you have a comment?
Wow, as I'm listening to everyone, you know, eloquently, you know, state their statement, make their statements, I'm thinking about the statement, you know, you versus you, right?
Mm.
And I had to change my lens, Sister Gloria, because I feel exactly how each and every one of our brothers feel. You know, being a tall black male, certain physique, you know, I may, you know, I don't feel like my countenance is mean, but I head up high. So there's certain behavior patterns and postures that intimidate not only, you know, like Brother Jonathan said, it's not really a racial, it's not really, it's racism, but it's bigger than that. I believe, I feel like it's more of an internal battle with self. But once we walk out here as black males and we possess strength and we possess fortitude and ambition, a lot of the things that society said we were not, it makes those within society that may not be totally convinced that we are not going to go off the handle. They are extremely intimidated of that. So I had to really just put a different lens on. And for me, I simplified my life at this point. I'm healing.
Yeah.
So whether or not my someone who looks like me is intimidated by me, don't want like me, or from another ethnic creed, I have a responsibility and a strong accountability of what I need to do on a day-to-day basis, right? And we talk about divinity all the time. Like financially, you know, we all have to some of us are regrouping, some of us are, you know, in higher states than others, but we all share a financial obligation, right? Our freedom, what that looks like for each and every one of us. Like we were saying, love is freeing. But to me, it may be a peace of mind. That's where my freedom comes from, right? We all have faith, and we're not talking religiosity. We're talking just from the spiritual realm as human beings, like creating that faith. Our fitness, we only get this one vessel, right? And last but not least, our family. So that creates the 5 divinity wellness practices that we all possess as human beings that we can control. So I said, I'm going to change the channel. I know that there's racism, I know that there's classism, socialism, everything under the sun. However, I can control those 5 things, and wherever the chips may fall, they fall. But at least I know that I gave it my best foot forward in controlling those things that's going to create divinity for me.
Jay, what do you think?
Wow, that's a great answer. Our nervous system is built to take all we're built to be, men are built to be aware of all all of the factors and all on everything that's going on in our environment. So we're built to take care, to provide, to protect on a biological level. At the same time, it's our nervous system that gets most exacerbated by that gets most damaged, the most frequent stress, right? All of the stress from the world comes through our nervous system. So the key for me is to have a completely stable nervous system as much as possible. So as David pointed out, exercise is important. My spiritual health is important. Meditation really helps smooth down all the highs and lows. It's a whole program, and spirit, the divinity that David is talking about, is the central focus. It's the key. Oh, excuse me. It's the key to complete internal stability, which is what our families need from us, what our communities need from us, what our partners need from us. And so I would, for anybody who's asking, who's interested, I would say, that nervous system, getting a handle on that. And by nervous system, I mean how we deal with all of our traumas, all of our stresses, how we deal with a crisis, how we, pick up and, how we hear it when somebody says something that can be triggering for us. This is really important. And again, our connection with the divine, however you conceive of it, is the key element in that.
So, guys, that concludes our town hall. Thank you so much. We are a little bit over the hour, but what I say to you is I am so happy that you guys did this. Again, we had men, you know, write in to get their thoughts out, their statements that I read. And I thank you guys for answering it for them. Hopefully, and I strongly believe this one day, we'll have this town hall live where we can have men in the room asking questions and really starting this healing process. So I thank all of you within a 2-minute time frame. If you guys can just let us know how to find you, how to follow you, or anything that you want to say, any last words. We'll start with you guys, with the Kingdom Brothers, whoever wants to represent, and then we go to you, Jay, and we'll end with you, Leon. Okay.
First and foremost, Sister Gloria, I just would like to say thank you for creating safe space for us and all of our listeners who actually tuned into the live. Thank you for joining us this evening. You can catch Brother Gerald and I each and every Sunday morning at 9 o'clock sharp. We are at the Kingdom Brothers on Instagram. We are the curators of live healing. So once again, we come on each and every week at each and every Sunday. It's the beginning of each and every week. So it's really about creating that rise in all of us, right? That untapped potential that lie dormant. So if we're handling anything regarding mental illness, anything under the sun of mental illness, mental wellness, Brother G and I, we like to be the voice and like to step in the gap. So you can find us, Brother G. He does all of our editing. He does an amazing job, and he's been my brother in arms for the last 3 years. Brother G, I don't know if you have anything.
Just really quick, Sister Gloria, I want to say thank you, not just for having us here, but for asking us.
Mm.
So many people in the world we have right now are assuming, they're making assumptions about what Black men feel about mental health, about women, about the world that's around them. So thank you for asking us how we feel and not making assumptions about how we feel.
Yes. Jay?
Gloria, thank you so much. This is beautiful, a beautiful panel, beautiful men, and it speaks very, very highly and beautifully of you, and the way you ask questions is, it's very opening. So I appreciate you. And I can be found at spiritualdigger.com. And I just want to say one more thing. We have a men's circle here every 2 weeks at Heart Center LA, which is hybrid. So it's heartcenter.la/men-women. That's heartcenter.la/men-women. And we have a brotherhood circle that meets here every other week. And we also have a sisterhood circle that meets at the same time. And once a month, once we get those groups, in a container where we feel like it's deep enough within it, then we will once a month meet together to share, what we've learned about masculinity and femininity in our own groups with each other. Thank you.
Leon?
I'll leave everybody with this. Do the research on your parents, your family. You'll find out a lot of things about yourself, strengths, weaknesses, addictions, your gifts and talents too. I do that with my parents and grandparents dating. I can be reached and found. I'm in Google, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Leon R. Walker Jr. And my website is www.leonrobertwalkerjr.com.
All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gloria, too, for having us.
Thank you, Gloria.
Have a wonderful night. And that concludes this town hall. And I can't wait to do this again. I'll see you guys.
All right.
Have a
Y'all
blessed
take it easy.
Good night.
All right.
Good night.